now for something completely different. You'll excuse the hat, it's sort of a trademark. I get waved by people strangers in the street. It doesn't matter to me whether they vote for the hat or the person under it. The outcome's the same either way. Now, we'll take a little venture in historical memory. I can't tell you that my memory is quite what it used to be. Short-term memory's pretty much gone to hell. Only yesterday I was standing in the cellar wondering what I was doing in the cellar. It was too early to get a bottle of wine. There was no washing in the dryer. Didn't seem likely I'd find the remains of Jimmy Hoffa there, so I gave it up and went upstairs in the living room and stood there for a while wondering how I was doing in the living room. My long-term memory is not perfect either. In fact, I really don't remember where I did bury Jimmy Hoffa. But I do remember things which liberals and Democrats don't remember. And this is an amazing phenomenon. I remember when Dirigo Health Plan was going to insure 138,000 Mainers. I remember when the whole thing would be paid for by savings offset payments. They don't remember these things at all. Well, going back further, I can remember when news of that blue dress first came out. I'm getting ahead of myself here. News of Bill Clinton's fondness for thongs and dumplings. At that point, Hillary Clinton said if this was true, it was very serious. She didn't say it was a family private affair. She said very serious. She didn't know about the blue dress at that point. And if you're interested, the blue dress, by the way, is now living in Iowa under a federal protection program, posing as a set of drapes. I can remember when Bill Clinton said the era of big government is over. They don't remember this at all. And I can even remember when Al Gore was in charge of reinventing government. I don't remember anything he actually did to reinvent government, but I remember that was one of the schemes. But what really brings me interesting is the 60s. I mean, not the 60s of the anti-Vietnam War. They do remember that this peace movement bring the war to an end. I remember a North Vietnamese tank crashing through the presidential palace gates in Saigon. Didn't look like a crew of delegation of Quakers to me, but in any case. It's the early 60s, which is of interest. In the opening days of the New Frontier and the Great Society, the Democrats, the liberals, were full of schemes for improving the United States. They were going to root out the root causes of crime. They're going to abolish poverty. Do you remember the war on poverty? And Walter Wolfgang Heller, the chairman of the Council of Economics Advisors, assured us with Keynesian economics there'd be no more booms, no more busts. And there was even a discussion about having a Department of Leisure. It's true. Look it up. A counterpart of the Department of Labor, so they're concerned the American people might go off and do leisurely things which wouldn't be productive. Now all that optimism and that hope and that confidence is gone. Have you noticed? It doesn't exist anymore. Now it really comes down to this. Government's a good thing, there ought to be more of it. Now, philosophically, there I depart. I'm with Jefferson. The natural tendency, as Jefferson said, of government is to advance and liberty to retreat. Now, philosophically, that is the key of my position. See, I was a conservative columnist, so you can identify me. Well, moderation and pragmatism are not philosophers. They're their attitudes, their habits, their tactics. I'm myself a very moderate man. I have nothing against Mike Michaud, for example. Seems like a nice fellow, always gives me a firm handshake and a somewhat baffled smile when I meet him. And I'm sure he loves the state of Maine, though you really can't love the state of Maine properly until you've spent 32 years in the tropical hell of New Jersey. Take my word for it. But the thing is that there's nothing since Jefferson made that statement which contradicts that sentiment. It is the tendency of governments everywhere to grow in power, and it necessarily means a restriction of liberty. You can play around with the words all you want, but that is what it means. So further, not to get into great detail in this, but my ideological position, if you wish to call it that, is fidelity to the Constitution. And since nobody else is allowed to speak up for Ron Paul, I will say that there's one thing I'm confident of. The man, when he takes the oath to uphold the Constitution, knows exactly what he means. I'm allowed to say that. I have a McCain sticker, and I will vote for McCain. And I didn't much care for this assault on his personal record. The testimony of his fellow POWs is quite clear. He's a far better man than I am or ever hope to be. Now, that aside, I'm not too sure that he has the same conviction about the Constitution as Ron Paul, and that Bill McCain-Feingold bill makes me doubtful on that score, and that does bother me. Now, by the way, on Obama's website, that appears as the Feingold bill. Who the hell ever heard of a Feingold bill? I mean, so much for this man's genuineness and purity of motive and bipartisan approach. But there, I did promise you, did I not, that it would be short and painless. And thanks for listening.